Yes, they are still around. Yes. Woo. Oh, hour long? Maybe if
Have you
this
ever
was the
tried
beginning
plant
of the
medicine?
stream, I'd do
Everyone
an
seems to
hour
be
long
talking about
one,
ayahuasca or mushrooms, psilocybin, and magic.
but
Ahoy there, beautiful
it's
soul.
you
We've got
know,
another really fun
you
one for
know,
you
it's
today.
it's hard,
It's one
dog.
of the most
It's
mind-blowing
late.
pieces of content we've seen in a long time, and it's such an honor to share it with you. This is an exclusive episode from Gaia called The Masters of the Net, diving deep into the 40 years of research by Dr. Robert Gilbert, PhD, a former nuclear, biological, chemical defense Marine Corps instructor who went through his own awakening and became the founder of the Vesica
We're watching
Institute
Spirit
for
Science,
Holistic
guys.
Studies. His work, as you'll soon see,
We're
offers
digging
a
on the
new way of
ground.
understanding the invisible energy matrix that underlies everything in the physical world. While the
I'm so sorry. I need I need captions. This dude just keeps on. He just says so much that I need
The
captions, man.
mainstream understanding of reality has been largely restricted by the materialistic worldview. Each day, there is an ever-growing body of research that suggests that we can understand the underlying foundation of existence in an entirely new way. And by this understanding, we may become free to live harmoniously with ourselves and the whole world. One
All right, so he just talks for about 10 seconds. Maybe we run that back.
understand the underlying
Yeah, he spoke for 10 seconds, said absolutely nothing at all.
on Gaia
Even
using the
slightly.
link in the description. It's definitely worth it. Enjoy.
There is a pattern behind everything in your life. It's pain or pleasure, happiness or misery,
Okay.
success or failure. The hidden key to self-empowerment is the knowledge of these patterns which direct our lives. Sacred geometry teaches the master patterns which create our world and which are the true secret behind all manifestation.
We're on manifestation. We are always kind of on manifestation. We love them. We love the manifestors. We think they're so crazy. We think they're so ridiculous. And they are. And now we're gonna manifest through geometry, dog. That's what we gotta do.
This series removes the veils of truth.
Hold on. Let me go get some fucking let me get some Mountain Dew.
Previously hidden knowledge. You will learn key subtle energy patterns which, when activated regularly in your own energy field, can change your life.
Hold on. We're talking energy fields.
Patterns
I
which,
paused,
when
dog.
activated regularly in your own energy field, can change.
See,
When
this is why I need
activated
this.
regularly in your own.
This is why I
You
need
will
this
learn this
subtitles
series
because this
removes the
this is
veils
talking
of
crazy.
previously hidden knowledge.
All
You
right.
will learn key subtle energy patterns which, when activated regularly in your own energy field, can change your life.
Bro, we're using the 8 gates to create an energy field. I thought this was for people who couldn't use ninjutsu.
Welcome. I'm your host, Dr. Robert J. Gilbert,
Oh
founder of the
God.
Vesica Institute for Holistic Studies.
I'm
For over
surprised
40
he's in
years, I have intensively researched the patterns
a
behind human life.
televangelist. To be honestly,
This includes scientific studies.
this guy has like hard tele. Oh, let me run him back. This is hard televangelist phrenology. Look at this. He's got the glasses. He's got the weird moles places. He's got the wide forehead. Televangelists need a wide forehead, and a receding hairline. Necessary. Necessary. He's got the weird lip curls. They all have them. Let's go find a televangelist real quick. Um, all right. Nope. Nope. Right. Jim Baker. Jim Baker was one of the dudes. He had it all. His hairline's completely gone, weird forehead, fucked up lines, weird curling lips, the glasses. Necessary. Who else? Where's that? Where's that guy? Whole long tube with demons. Long tube full of demons. Yep. Where is he at? Where is he at? Receding hairline. Um, big ass forehead. Lips. Let's see. Where's his name? Where's his name? What's his name? What's his name, man? What is his name? I forget his name. Shit. Why am I forgetting his name? I'll blow you in the name of God. Anyway, let's continue.
Studies. For over 40 years, I have intensively
Oh
researched
man.
the patterns behind human life. This includes scientific studies from my time as a U.S. Marine Corps instructor in the field of nuclear, biological, chemical warfare defense, and studies of spiritual traditions around the world while completing
Oh
my
no.
PhD in international studies. I'm excited to share with you in this series some of the highlights of these 40 years of research. We will explore together the hidden patterns which manifest everything in physical existence. This is a journey of empowerment. By learning how to work with subtle energy,
At least there, this guy's B-roll and like royalty-free video is like kind of interesting.
patterns known to ancient traditions, you can initiate an alchemical transformation within yourself. This process can empower your individual.
Not just proving that transformation and energy is real, but you're making an alchemy. Now alchemy is also real.
Evolution of consciousness and thereby
Wouldn't alchemy be transmuting something? It wouldn't just be a energy situation. It'd be like a physical trans. Yeah,
assist the
whatever.
raising of consciousness on our planet. We begin with a hidden lineage of initiates, known in ancient Egypt as the Masters of the Net. These initiates knew a great secret, that behind everything in physical existence is an invisible matrix of energy,
Oh,
which is the source of all physical manifestation. It is this invisible energy matrix which materializes everything in the physical world through the patterns we call sacred geometry.
I can't even really argue any of this.
The term sacred geometry is comprised of geo, meaning earth, and metri, meaning measurement. Sacred geometry literally means the sacred measure of the earth. We can also think of this in a larger sense, of sacred geometry meaning the divine blueprints of consciousness and energy.
Why?
In the
Why? Why would that mean that? Because you just went with designs of the Earth. Why is this now adding in consciousness and energy? It's just like no real line from point to point. It's just sort of statements.
the ancient
It's
world,
beautiful.
all of the temples,
Love
monuments,
to see that.
and political power centers were built on the larger power spots of the Earth's energy grid
Mm-hmm.
and were used for establishing the exact placement of the central axis of the building, the walls, the altars, and all the other features in sacred buildings.
It couldn't be that boxes and pillars were just really sturdy. No, no, that couldn't be it.
If you're looking to start or grow a business as a coach, therapist, or course creator, listen up really quick. We will train you to become a
No, we're on sacred knowledge.
The ancients knew
We're,
that
we're
many of
attacking the
these
sacred knowledge
large-scale
today.
Earth grids are connected to the sacred geometry patterns we know today as the Platonic solids. They're called Platonic solids because they appeared in the writings of Plato 2,500 years ago. However, these forms were known in ancient temple sciences long before the time of Plato. The Platonic solids are the geometric forms which correspond to the four elements of earth, water, air, and fire. Then there is the form of the fifth element, the universal life force, which the Greeks called ether, and was known as chi, ki, prana, and other names in different traditions. This is the fifth and final Platonic solid.
I just want to see if they're even honest within their own world. You know what I mean? So let me get platonic solids. Oh, geometry. Like sucks. Okay, it's a polyhedron with three-dimensional Euclidean. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper, slightly. All right, cool. So that. I'm not gonna pretend to know what any of this shit means, but what I can 1,000% tell is this has nothing to do with Earth, Wind, and Fire. This has nothing to do with Earth, Wind, and Fire. The Avatar is not popping up here, nor is the band from the '70s. So, um, I don't know where he's talking. I don't know where
This
he's
fifth
bringing that
element
from.
form is the 12-sided dodecahedron, which was considered sacred and sometimes secret in the Greek tradition. Plato hints at it when he described the earth as looking from above. In the
Dodecahedron. Okay, let's. I just. I'm just. You know, dodecahedron. Dodecahedron. Sacred. Oh, okay. 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 They got some sacred stuff in there. Alright. Alright. Quick Google search is saying that, you're making some sense. You're making some sense. From a lot of quacks, but you're making some sense. It's coming from somewhere. It's not like they're making it out of their own balls. Just other people's balls. A collection of balls.
Greek
Marbles, if you
tradition,
will. Lost
Plato hints at it
within
when he
time.
described the earth as looking from above, like a 12-sided ball.
Mm.
In ancient traditions, both the earth and the entire universe were considered to have the form of a dodecahedron.
Mm.
It's easy to see why, over the entrance to Plato's initiation school, there was said to be a sign which read, "No one ignorant of geometry may enter." In the 1970s, Ivan Sanderson wrote an article showing the geometric locations of physical anomalies on the Earth, considered to have the form of a
I'm not
geometric
even going to argue with that
locations
one.
of
I'm going to
physical
let him have it.
anomalies on the Earth. The most famous of these locations is the Devil's Triangle around Bermuda. However, Sanderson found that there was a geometric pattern of similar sites all around the globe. Sanderson found these locations were at the nodal points of the platonic solid known as the icosahedron. As we will see in a later episode of this series, the icosahedron is not only the sacred geometry shape for this part of the energy grid of the Earth, it is also known in science today as a key biological form, which appears, for example, in the geometric form of.
I felt like that what they showed. They had a lot of spores coming out of a lot of spines coming out of all these different types of places, and then they just decided to put a decahedron over the top of it.
Viruses, the most basic form of life. Researchers discovered that to make
Are
these
viruses life? I thought they were specifically not life. I know bacteria's life, but are viruses life? Are viruses alive, living? Yeah, let's do it. Okay, let's see this. Are viruses alive? Cosmos. I'm not sure if this is like something to really follow, you know? There is no single undisputed definition of life. Some of the more common questions distinguish between living and non living things. Does it have its own biological machinery to replicate? Does it multiply through cellular division? Does it have a metabolism? Why don't they fit the bill? In order to replicate, viruses must hijack reproductive equipment of the host cell, redirecting to photocopy a genetic code of the virus. Okay, so that's why they choose it's not life. Right, cool. So it needs biology around. Let's go back. I don't want to. Science news. So science news isn't great, but it's something. Scientists and public officials use to describe SARS COVID-19. Great. We're intent on killing it. Hey, killing it might mention that it's alive, maybe? So, really, scientists have argued hundreds of years over how to classify viruses, says Louis Villarreal, professor emeritus at emeritus. See, I didn't go past the bachelor's in college. At the University of California, Irvine, where he founded the Center for Virus Research. In the 1700s, viruses were believed to be poisons. In the 1800s, they were called biological particles. By the 1900s, they were demoted to inert chemicals. Throughout, viruses have rarely been considered alive. Okay. Mm-hmm. Their most requires metabolism, a set of chemical reactions to produce energy. Viruses do not metabolize. They do not fit some of the other common criteria. They do not have cells. They do not reproduce independently. Viruses are inert packages of DNA and RNA that cannot replicate without a host cell. A coronavirus, for example, has a nanoscale sphere made up of genes wrapped in a fatty coat of bedite in spiked proteins. They have many trails of living things. I kind of want to just skip to the end and find out if they're alive or not. Not your whole little spiel. So it's complicated. It's complicated. Most people say no.
Earth grid maps align properly to these sacred geometry patterns, point number 1 of the grid needed to be aligned to one of the world's great large-scale power spots, Giza Plateau in Egypt.
Mm.
And so it is here,
Do stars really
in the
line up like that?
civilization of ancient Egypt, built on this primary power spot of the Earth grid, that we will find evidence of an ancient initiation system based on the invisible energy grids, which in ancient texts are often referred to as nets or the net. In India, for example, the jeweled net of Indra is described as a net extending
Indra
infinitely
and
in
Ashra?
all directions,
Are you
with
saying that
jewels which
Naruto is?
glitter like stars at every nodal point of the net, Every jewel reflects all the other jewels in itself. Other interpretations include that every bright jewel at the nodal points of the net is an Atman, which is the spirit core within human beings and all spiritual beings. Each Atman spirit core has the same.
Yeah, they just sort of take things from reality and just start attaching shit to it. I hope there's an Atman in me. Can I produce a Kamehameha wave? Hopefully.
Divine
Gather
essence
my
as
chi.
all others, but with their own unique qualities based on the karma they have generated through acting in the physical world. In the highest levels of modern physics, it is understood that physical matter is based on both physical particles in different states of vibration and on waves. Waves can collapse into particles. Particles can disintegrate back into waves. This is called wave-particle duality in modern physics. Similarly, ancient traditions base both their
Wish I knew more about physics. My little brother would have a field day with this.
understanding of natural forces and their healing methods on dynamic vital energy, not on the physical matter itself, which is simply a lower, denser manifestation of the underlying energy patterns. Ancient
Kiddo.
traditions understood that energy in different states is the core of all existence. This brings us to an important secret of sacred geometry. Whenever you see a physical form, including the forms of sacred geometry we will explore in this series, don't think of it as a solid, inert structure. Always keep in mind that what stands behind this physical structure is the net, the vibrational matrix of energy that this form crystallized out of. Remember that the physical form can change immediately when the background energy matrix changes. Everything is energy, so sacred geometry patterns are crystallized forms showing us the invisible vibrational matrix, which is the higher reality.
Man, I just wish they could test that on like any way, in any possible way at all. I wish they could test it just even a little bit
This vibrational matrix
somehow.
is the net, which ancient traditions learned to master. Understanding that the solidity of physical matter is an illusion, that it can change based on changing the vibrational matrix behind matter, is the secret of all advanced energy healing and what we call today vibrational medicine.
Which has never been shown to work. No, it's for something else. Vibrational medicine versus Western medicine. Biotechnology information. All right. So we got one group saying that there is. Mm-hmm. Alternative medicine annually. I just want to know about the effectiveness of vibrational medicine. That's about it. Effective. I, you know, remote energy healing, how it works, and what's the science. Yeah, I want to know what the science is. And I also want to just hit health line credible credibility. Yeah, let me also hit these. Okay, cool. All right. Other people believe so. Let's try it. Let's check it out. Does it actually work? Within the COVID pandemic, forcing many to stay at home, a lot of normal life went online. For work to fitness to social life, much of the world now relies on online platforms to stay connected. It's no surprise that there's a rise in virtual well being services too. While online therapy consulting is nothing new, more alternative practices have been made offering video friendly take, for example, remote energy healing. Oh, they tried this earlier this year. Oh, wow. Had a fan of alternative medicine and success in the past, but that was in person. Oh my goodness, there is this true? Energy healing, subtle energy healing, mind body medicine. Okay, they can affect our health and well being. This is called subtle energy and vibrational energy, or simply life force. Chakra healing. I love my chakra. I'm always trying to grow my chakra because I want to produce more than, two clones. Shut up, coach. uh, what in the world? Difficult to prove with scientific evidence. Some interesting results. Mood benefits. All right. Okay. Damn. Well, maybe they're right.
It is also the secret of all advanced
Maybe they're right.
spiritual
Who knows?
activation of the human
Check
being.
this out.
These nets or energy grids
I don't believe
work
it,
on higher
but
plane levels,
you know,
in addition to their work on the
maybe I'm
physical
just thick
plane
headed.
to create physical form.
Come here, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. This right
Shouldn't
here,
be allowed to film
this
at Wells
cannot
Fargo.
be faked, right? And that actually represents just one bank account of more than 7 accounts that I have with this bank, which probably begs the question, right? How? How did I do it? How did I go from working for minimum wage in a coffee shop like you see here, a 500 credit score and living in my mom's spare bedroom to, well, as you can clearly see, that's not the case anymore.
Usually
Right?
scamming.
And more importantly, how did I get started without any products to sell, without dealing with any inventory, without arguing
Honestly,
with customers,
if
without
I could
hassling with
live with my
employees,
parents and they
without
weren't like
making lists of friends and
stressed,
family members
I'd
and dragging
definitely
them
do
to
it.
meetings, without knocking on doors, without cold calling folks or any of that drama. And this has nothing to do with starting an Amazon store, drop shipping, or real estate, all of which are
Let's
way
cut it. Let's cut them. Let's
Modern
cut them.
physics has
We want to
allowed
hear about the spirit
materialism
science.
to restrict its understanding of this larger reality, so that modern materialism only sees energy manifesting at two levels: the electromagnetic and
Hmm.
the physical levels. One of the most popular models of these higher planes today is the seven planes model from the Theosophical Society. This image of the seven planes of nature is derived from the modern system of biogeometry developed by Dr. Ibrahim Karim in Cairo, Egypt. Dr. Karim found the geometric shapes which connect in resonance to each plane, which makes possible very advanced work in testing or directing energy to these.
People from people from the third world have been lucky enough to find some strange Western folk that they could sell some crazy shit off to for years, and it's beautiful. And I'm so happy that they're getting their money. Like I'm so excited for them to get their money. Congratulations.
Planes. We will discuss biogeometry in more detail in the final episode of this season. Working with higher planes, along with the net of the vibrational matrix, is a key secret of spiritual initiation. This makes possible advanced applications in manifestation, prosperity work, and the materialization of energy and thought forms into physical reality. It is all about knowing how.
I don't get this how this works as like an entertainment situation because it's not I don't believe any of this shit, but it's not you know teaching you anything. It's just saying shit at you. It's not like you can do anything with any of this information. So I'm assuming that it's coming off as entertainment. Yet it's dry. It's like the Twilight Zone with no story.
how to work with the patterns of energy
Interesting.
which move from the higher planes of consciousness into vibrational matrices and then crystallize into physical manifestation. Modern materialistic science doesn't allow itself to consider any planes above the physical plane. It bans any discussion of metaphysics just as dogmatically as any fundamentalist religion enforces.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does because people test it. See, if people didn't test it ever, then you could say that. But people consistently are like, all right, cool, let's test it out. Let's see what happens. Now, since most things show up as zero, and there's some stuff that has shown up as something, people are like, oh, I guess some people have felt something increase with their mood.
The suppression
Could be the placebo effect, but still,
of heretical ideas. Instead,
might be
modern
something to it.
science talks about dimensions rather than higher planes. Modern advanced physics is full of higher dimensions. In fact,
Oh my goodness, are the dimension people against the spirit science people? I thought they'd be on the same side.
modern
I
physics
thought they were on
requires
the
the existence
different
of many
planes.
higher dimensions in order for the mathematics of quantum physics to work out. But despite these higher dimensions in physics equations, materialistic science continues to insist that this is simply a mathematical artifact and does not indicate the existence of any higher metaphysical realities. So let's take just a moment to understand the basics of what dimensions are, as these have taken the place in physics today of the classical ideas of the higher planes of existence. Physics today teaches that our physical reality is literally a three-dimensional geometric grid comprised of three axes, each at a 90-degree angle to the others. We start with 0 dimensions, which is a point, an energy center. In physics, it is connected to the
See, that's the thing. Like, why did it have to be energy? We start with a point, and it has to be an energy center.
idea of the
Obviously,
singularity
like
as
they're just saying that she exists now. You
the
know,
source of all creation.
I don't know.
In
I wish I could emanate energy out of my hands. I feel like, I've been attempting that ever since I was a child. I was trying to get my key up so I could do water walking and hand walking.
spiritual terms, the zero-dimensional point is the gateway to the divine unity from which all polarity and manifestation emerges, which ancient traditions would call the divine plane. The zero-dimensional point is literally the spiritual origin point from which physical space is created. To create the first dimension, the point moves parallel to itself to create a line. The point then moves on a new axis, creating lines between the new point and the two previous points, making the simplest two-dimensional.
But check this out. They do talk very confidently. which does which does bunny hop off of the last video.
Straight line form, the triangle. The point then moves on a new 90-degree axis, which creates not only new lines between the now 4 points, but also creates planes on all sides of this now three-dimensional form. This makes the simplest straight line three-dimensional geometrical form the tetrahedron.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really?
No, I don't think I know Mix.
First up, we've got shake video masks. You can
We have now moved from the point to the line to the plane to the solid, from 0 dimensions to 3 dimensions. If we move the point into another new axis, away from the existing 3 dimensions of space, we then create a 4th dimensional object. We cannot see any aspect of 4th dimensional or higher forms, because our human senses are based on perceiving our 3-dimensional world.
Mm-hmm.
However, it may be that our subtle organs of spiritual perception could perceive these higher dimensions, or
What are our organs of spiritual perception?
higher planes.
I feel like they cracked open a couple brains and they haven't found any specific organs for that.
This realization that beings with sense organs for only lower dimensions could only see fragments of higher dimensional objects was the basis for the concept of flatland by Edwin Abbott. The flatland concept shows how a 2-dimensional being could only see simple 2-dimensional or 1-dimensional aspects of 3-dimensional objects moving through the plane of the world that he perceives. The lesson, of course, is that the same is true for us as 3-dimensional beings. We can only see 3D or lower dimensional sections of any 4th dimensional or higher dimensional objects moving through our world. This flatland concept of our only perceiving small fragments of higher dimensional objects moving through our world opens up new understandings of mysterious spiritual manifestations, of UFO sightings, etc. 5th, 6th, and even higher dimensional forms are also possible and have already been identified in advanced scientific mathematics and geometric studies. When we see these higher dimensional geometric
I love how sure of himself this guy is.
forms on a flat 2-dimensional surface, they appear as a complex grid pattern, the net described in the ancient traditions. So if we add another point to the preceding series of dimensional images,
They just love attaching the shit.
a new
It's the
point,
net,
which would
dog.
now be
It's
in
the
the
net.
4th dimension, along an axis shift not perceivable by a 3-dimensional person, this would create a 4th dimensional form, of which we would only see a shadow of it in our dimension. Note that the 4th dimensional form at the end of this sequence, when shown in a lower dimensional projection as a flat 2D form, from a specific perspective looks like a 5-pointed star, a pentagram inside a 5-sided enclosure, a pentagon. This opens up the possibility that forms and sacred geometry used in ancient spiritual traditions are actually lower dimensional projection views of higher dimensional objects. These two
Why would they have lower dimensional views if they saw in the 3rd dimension?
2D or 3D sacred geometry
Ancient people aren't necessarily dumber than us. So they're not like lesser in a way that they can't only see 2 dimensions because they're ancient. They would still see in 3D as we see today.
patterns may actually
So yeah, make it look fucking sense.
have the hidden power to energetically
Within their own
connect us
purview.
to higher dimensional realities. As we will see in a later episode, the pentagram form we see here, created by higher dimensional projection, is a key sacred geometry pattern for the human energy body and has been used for spiritual and magical purposes throughout recorded human history. This pentagram within a pentagon is also related to the large dodecahedron of the Earth grid we saw earlier in this episode. The dodecahedron is comprised of 12 pentagons, showing that the energy geometries of the human body also exist in a larger macro form in the energy grids of the Earth itself. This is a profound aspect of sacred geometry, that geometric forms we see may just be shadows of higher dimensional forms, which most human beings have not yet developed a sense organ to perceive directly.
Now we're getting into it. That there's specific people that are a higher being. Now we're getting into it.
Now that we have explored some basics of energy grids, or what the ancients called the net, as patterns which create the physical world and which manifest on multiple planes and dimensions, we can now explore the hidden tradition of the masters of the net in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptian tradition cultivated deep hidden knowledge and applications of the energetic net behind all physical manifestation, both in the human energy field and in the Earth itself. In modern physics, it is understood that all physical matter is within an energy grid of space and time. Today, we see in physics books a representation of the net of space-time being distorted by physical mass. This net is often shown looking like a rubber sheet with a squared geometric grid on it, being distorted and stretched by an object such as a planet. This means that the net is malleable and it can be modified. Over 5,000
Nah.
years
Let
before
him
modern
ride. Let him
physics.
ride. It seems like they use other people's way of showing things as let him
This
ride.
same energy grid,
Let
which
him
is today
ride.
called the net of space-time, was known and shown in the ancient Egyptian mysteries as the net which creates and sustains all physical existence. Learning to tap the power of this geometric energy grid was a key aspect of the Egyptian temple initiation. Those initiated into these mysteries were known as the Masters of the Net. Behind the illustrations on the Egyptian temple walls were geometric grids constructed first by the artist before creating the
Isn't it just easier to draw large things on a grid because you follow those lines, therefore creating the shape because you can follow with it? I know that's how I learned how to draw.
final illustrations we see on the completed temple walls in Egypt. These geometric grids used in ancient Egypt are known to modern Egyptologists, but with their materialistic viewpoint, many believe these grids to have only been a practical method to lay out the illustrations on the wall. They ignore the vast literature in ancient Egypt which describes this net and its magical power.
But that doesn't look like a net. It looks like a grid.
There are specific terms used for different aspects of the geometric net of energy by the
And why would it be on the things to test things out rather than the final product?
Egyptian initiates of the temple. Some of those terms are seen here, from hieroglyphic text published by British researchers in the late 1800s. There were also direct representations of the net. For the public, the net was often represented metaphorically as a net used to catch fish or to catch birds.
Or maybe they're just using nets as nets, and it wasn't like anything to do with the world.
Initiates were shown learning to master the net and its powers. Deeper initiation teachings were also held within the net imagery. Ancient Egyptians did not refer to non-physical beings as gods or goddesses, as they are translated into English today from ancient text, but rather they referred to these beings as netters, the conscious forces of nature which the initiate learns to directly communicate with and to direct their power. Many netters were shown with animal heads, not because ancient Egyptians worshipped animals, as is sometimes falsely speculated today, but because they understood that higher divine powers manifested through specific animals. Just as today we say, clever as a fox.
Idioms. They're chasing idioms now.
The ibis-headed netter was known to the ancient Egyptians as Jehute, but today
That's a cool name though, Jehute. My boy Jehute. Yes, Jehute. He carries it on his head. Jehute. He comes here. He says, "Oh, my name is Jehute. I'll be your server this evening, and I
we
love
know this
to."
better from the later corrupted Greek name, Thoth or Thoth. Jehute was understood to be the being who created and taught the Egyptian temple science. The non-physical servants of Jehute were depicted as baboons, casting nets into water to catch fish. Now, the deeper initiation knowledge behind this was that these fish caught in the net were in actuality the souls of the dead who are unable to consciously navigate through the non-physical.
So, since we believe in the ancient Egyptian stuff, how come we don't believe in the ancient Greek stuff? Or and why are we so stuck on ancient Egyptian? There were other African people, earlier civilizations that also believed some people, mermaids, and all that type of shit. Creatures
Worlds,
coming out of the water.
and so became caught in the net. There's a specific teaching about this in the key Egyptian initiation text called the Book of Coming Forth into Light.
You'll notice sometimes if you see me on stage, my fingers are like this. I'm holding it to my side very subtly, but my fingers are like this. This is a Silva technique called the three fingers technique. Silva teaches you to train your brain, so when you join your three fingers together like this, you instantly activate alpha waves,
which today we often
We've already
call the
given
Egyptian
Alpha
Book of
Wave
the
Man
Dead.
his day.
In this
I'll come
text,
back to.
the initiate learns to navigate and master the net. In chapter 153, the initiate learns to consciously navigate through the net, as seen in this quote.
Emanating alpha waves.
O you fishermen, you shall not catch me in your net. You shall not catch me in your nets in which you catch the unwary. For I know the net from its upper heights to its lower depths. This remarkable initiation text details all of the aspects of the net, from the earth out into cosmological bodies, and which aspects of the net connect to specific higher non-physical beings, the netters. The true master of the net is the initiate who has learned how to navigate through the net.
Somebody needs to go through his words, replace net with nut. I think that somebody might have to be me one day.
And learn how to use the net of the living energy matrix behind everything on the physical plane to develop powers that the uninitiated consider to be magical.
We're gonna all do Doctor Strange portals.
In ancient Egypt, the netter of death and rebirth was named Azra, a name later corrupted in Greek to become Osiris. The sacred geometry form known as the backbone of Azra in ancient Egypt was the Djed pillar, which was erected each year in the raising of the Djed ceremony to connect heaven and earth. Just as the Egyptian temples connected power spots on the earth on which they were built to power spots in the heavens, and just as
I think there's lore here that was done by other people, but we don't have, like the power spots.
the human spot
They did not talk to us about the power spots. That's some things that they must have explained way back. They already had a whole hour long situation about the power spots that we're just missing.
stands erect for us to be held between earth and heaven to act on the physical plane. The raising of the Djed pillar was the culmination of the mysteries of Azra, or Osiris. In the ancient Egyptian document, which is today known as the Westcar Papyrus, one of the highest masters of the net in ancient Egypt is described as the Jedi, based on the Djed pillar being the backbone of Azra connecting heaven and earth. The Jedi
You think George Lucas got some of this stuff out of there? That's
derives
kind of cool.
extraordinary powers from using the net to control natural forces.
Oh my goodness. George Lucas got the force from this stuff. That's pretty so.
One story in the Westcar Papyrus
That's one good thing about all these weird cranks. We at least got Star Wars.
describes a master of the net, a high priest for Pharaoh Snofru, who who parts the waters of a lake, making a part of a lake dry so that a valuable piece of jewelry can be reclaimed from its floor.
Why? Why do we care about the jewelry? What does the jewelry have?
Today, such miracles, or magic, are associated with the parting of the Red Sea by Moses, described in the Old Testament. However, these abilities to control natural forces were in fact a part of the Masters of the Net initiation lineage from which Moses derived his knowledge during his training in the Egyptian temples. Similarly, the use of the staff by Moses is directly derived from the training in the use of the staff in the Egyptian temples. The staff acts as an antenna for detecting and projecting higher forces based on the designs and shapes on the staff. In the Westcar Papyrus, after the story of the priest who parts the waters for the Pharaoh, the story of the Jedi is introduced.
I want more stories of the Jedi. I need more stories of the Jedi. Actually, I play Jedi Survivor, and I just want more.
Said in this ancient Egyptian text to specifically have the power to restore life to the dead and to know hidden secrets of the ancient temples. The term used in recent times in the Star Wars film series of a Jedi Knight who can direct the Force.
These are those rhombohedron crystals in your pineal gland. When those crystals become electrically activated, all of a sudden they start calling energy back to them, and they begin to build their own electromagnetic field.
This is beautiful. I wish I had more
This carries a
time.
powerful subconscious resonance and attraction for people today. This is because it comes from the Hekau system of words of power in ancient Egypt, specifically the terms Jed and Jedi. The lightsaber in Star Wars sometimes resembles the form of the Jed pillar as well.
They really try to find anything. I hope George Lucas did this on purpose.
From ancient Egypt, the hidden knowledge of the net spread to other cultures in the Western tradition as well. The foundation of the Western monotheistic tradition is the Old Testament, whose first book, Genesis, describes the creation of the earth from higher spiritual realms through the use of specific sacred geometry patterns.
No. I read the Bible multiple times. I know the Bible well. At no point did they mention geometry. Not in the New Testament. I mean, not in the Old Testament, dog. Not in Genesis. I know that for a fact. I know
The very
that for a
first
fact.
statement in Genesis, in Hebrew, is Bereshit.
Yeah, because he knows that nobody's gonna go read Hebrew. I gotta go find somebody who reads Hebrew to translate this BS. Get out of
Note
here.
that in the Hebrew original text, there are no divisions of the letters into words, just an unbroken stream of letters which can be divided and interpreted in deeper ways within the Kabbalistic mysteries. Bereshit.
That can't be true. That can't be true is that there's no actual words, because that means they're just making it up. That means they're just making it up. If it's unbroken, just a form of letters, that means there's so much misinterpretation that nobody saying anything about the Torah can be believed.
Is
And
usually translated into English
I believe the Hebrews, the people who follow the Jewish faith, are better than that.
as meaning in the beginning. But in the deeper Kabbalistic teachings, it also literally means the net, or God creates the net, as the beginning of creation. This means that the same geometric energy net we saw previously as the core of ancient Egyptian initiation, which appears as the matrix of space-time in modern physics, is also the very first statement of Genesis, which can be accurately translated as God creates the net as the very first act of creation. The Jewish tradition is
He had to take out several symbols to get, even by his own admission.
well known for avoiding visual images of divine realities. However, in the Kabbalah, there is a powerful discussion of a specific net of creation, manifested by the 22
All right,
flame
I've
letters
got
of the Hebrew
4
alphabet,
minutes
each
left.
of which is a
I
divine
want to go to
power.
sleep.
In the modern
This is
Jewish
nearly
Kabbalah,
done.
this net pattern is referred to as the 231 gates.
If Rock Lee could open all those gates, or my guy,
Perhaps the best known net pattern from the Jewish tradition in modern times is the Tree of Life, an energy matrix which is a map connecting multiple dimensions, which also microcosmically manifest as a powerful energy grid with
all
whom
right,
the
I'm gonna have
human
to skip
net
ahead.
grid pattern requires regular practice. We will show you a simplified method where you will act.
Let's get to
If
the
you'd
end.
like to do the practice now, please see the companion video for this episode. Otherwise, please set an intention to come back and do the practice at a later time. Sacred geometry. If you'd like to do the practice now, please see. So let us begin our activation of the Grid of Life design, or gold, with the activation of the gold energy surrounding our head, the seat of our consciousness. If you'd like to do the practice, knowledge of the masters
Oh
of the
yeah, I
net
just
from
gotta.
Egypt
I let.
and from other
I
great
gotta let him
initiation
go.
traditions.
That was word salad. That was word salad. That was hard. This guy is not as funny, and this guy is just as crazy, twice as crazy. Because he didn't even add a story to it. The other guy added a story. He had a room for metaphor. This guy is just telling you, like, like this is what it is. Uh,
Traditions
maybe we'll try the gold method next time.
around the world.
All right, guys. That was a long ass stream. I'm out.